There's a silent storm that hits many families, and most men never see it coming. One day, everything feels stable. She's cooking breakfast, smiling, planning your next trip together. Then suddenly something changes. Her energy shifts. She's distant, restless, searching for something she can't even name. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." But when that storm comes, it feels painfully real. No one talks about what happens when a woman reaches her late 30s or early 40s. For years, she's built her identity around being a wife, a mother, a nurturer. Her life had meaning through the family she raised and the love she gave. But time, relentless and undefeated, begins to whisper. The children need her less. The routine of marriage feels heavy. The mirror reflects someone older, and a quiet voice inside asks, "Am I still desired? Am I still seen?" This isn't vanity. It's human psychology. From a young age, society tells women that their worth is tied to beauty and youth. When those begin to fade, she starts craving the one thing that once came effortlessly: attention. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Yet for many women, this imagination becomes torment. The fear of fading, of being forgotten, becomes a war inside her heart. Imagine a famous athlete at the end of his career. For years, the crowd cheered his every move. Then one day, the stadium goes quiet. The cheers fade. Who is he without the applause? That's the same identity crisis many women face around 40, not because they've lost their beauty, but because the world stops noticing it as loudly. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This stage can either awaken wisdom or ignite destruction. For men, understanding this truth isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. Because when you see the storm forming, you can stay grounded instead of being swept away. The Stoic man doesn't try to control others. He strengthens himself to withstand whatever life brings. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is a river, a violent current of events glimpsed once and carried away." The question is, will you be the rock that remains steady or the leaf that drifts away? There's a truth few want to face. When a woman begins to feel unseen, a quiet hunger awakens, the need to be noticed again. At 25, attention came effortlessly. Compliments, admiration, validation, they surrounded her like air. But when that air thins, when the world grows quieter, something inside begins to panic. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Yet from a young age, many are taught to link their worth to appearance and approval. When those begin to fade, they feel a void, not just of beauty, but of identity. The mirror no longer reflects the woman she remembers. It reflects the woman time has shaped. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." True freedom means being untouched by the noise of others' opinions. But when attention becomes her oxygen, she's chained to it, mistaking admiration for love and validation for peace. Imagine a performer who lived for applause. For years, the crowd cheered every act. Then one day, the lights dim and silence fills the room. The performer stands alone, wondering, "Who am I?" without the sound of their approval. That is the storm many women face when attention fades. Not vanity, but the fear of invisibility. Epictetus reminded, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The Stoic man understands this lesson. Don't build your value on things time will take. Build it on character, discipline, and presence, because these never expire. When beauty fades, wisdom can rise if you let it. The Stoic way is not to mourn what's gone, but to master what remains. When a woman builds her worth on admiration, aging doesn't just change her body, it shakes her entire identity. It's not about losing beauty. It's about losing who she thought she was. For decades, she believed being desired meant being valuable. But when that attention fades, it feels like the ground beneath her has cracked. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The tragedy is, many people never learn this. They try to control how others see them, rather than mastering how they see themselves. Think of an athlete whose glory came from performance, the cheers, the lights, the recognition. Then one day the body slows down and the crowd goes quiet. The silence feels unbearable. That's what happens to many women around 40. The world stops clapping and the silence feels like rejection. Seneca wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." When attention becomes a lifelong comfort, its loss feels like disaster. But the Stoic sees it differently. Change isn't punishment, it's nature doing what it always does. The seasons shift, the body changes, and the wise accept what others fear. Epictetus reminded us, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it, but wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. Aging is not a curse, it's a teacher. It strips away illusions and shows what truly lasts: virtue, wisdom, and grace. So when the applause fades, the Stoic doesn't chase new noise. He stands still, grounded in presence, because peace doesn't come from being admired, it comes from being aligned with truth. At 40, what once felt ordinary now feels intoxicating. A glance from a stranger, a simple compliment, it becomes oxygen. When a woman no longer feels seen, even the smallest spark of attention can set her heart on fire. Marcus Aurelius said the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If her thoughts dwell on being admired, her soul begins to crave it endlessly. She mistakes external attention for proof of worth. But the Stoic knows what is borrowed from others can never belong to you. At 22, praise was routine, almost invisible. At 42, it feels rare and precious. That's why one message, one flirtation, can outweigh years of loyalty. Your love is expected. The stranger's attention feels thrilling because it is unexpected. This illusion can destroy even the strongest bond. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And many waste their peace, chasing validation that fades as quickly as it comes. It is like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same truth applies to the heart. The woman who learns to master her desires finds peace. The one who feeds them loses herself. For men, understanding this is not about judgment, it's about awareness. When you see the hunger for attention taking hold, do not respond with anger. Respond with strength, with clarity. Because the Stoic man does not fight storms, he becomes the calm that survives them. A storm rarely strikes without warning. Before the collapse, there are always signs, small changes, quiet shifts that reveal the heart is drifting away. But most men are too busy, too trusting, too blind to see them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." When you stay aware, you see what others ignore. The change often starts in her words, the way she speaks about the past. What she once laughed at, she now remembers with warmth. The men she used to regret, she recalls with nostalgia. That's not just memory, it's emotional time travel. Then come new influences. Friends who whisper, "You deserve more." Social media that praises women for leaving what once gave them meaning. These voices amplify her doubts until loyalty feels like a cage. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." The same is true for her. When her circle celebrates restlessness, it feeds her desire to escape. The mind becomes what it consumes. Soon her reflection changes too. Hours in front of the mirror. New clothes, new routines. It's not about confidence anymore. It's about attention. She is no longer dressing for herself, but for the eyes of others. Epictetus taught, if a man would move the world, he must first move himself. Many men fail here. They try to control her instead of mastering their own emotions. You cannot stop the storm outside, but you can strengthen the walls within. The Stoic man observes, accepts, and prepares. Because seeing the signs is not about fear, it's about awareness. And awareness is the first form of wisdom. The greatest danger doesn't come from inside her, it comes from the world around her. Society no longer reminds her of gratitude, family, or purpose. It feeds her ego, not her soul. Everywhere she turns, she hears, "You deserve more. Live your truth." But hidden inside those words is poison. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." Modern culture glorifies rebellion but hides the cost: broken homes, lonely nights, and children caught in the silence. It promises freedom, but delivers emptiness. Seneca said, "What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." Yet most are not friends to themselves. They chase noise and call it peace. The woman who listens to the world's applause forgets the wisdom of quiet loyalty. She trades peace for praise and still feels hollow when the noise fades. Movies, shows, and influencers glorify the idea of starting over. They never show the mornings filled with regret or the children who spend holidays apart. Society sells fantasy and hides the consequences. It tells her she's finding herself, but in truth, she's losing what made her whole. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the right to live as we wish, nothing else." True freedom isn't walking away from responsibility, it's mastering desire. The Stoic doesn't chase what feels good. He pursues what lasts. So when the world tells her to burn it all down, a wise man doesn't argue. He stands firm in silence. Because wisdom doesn't shout. It simply endures. The movies show her walking away, glowing with freedom. But real life is quieter, lonelier. The new life she chased rarely looks like the dream she imagined. The thrill fades, and she learns that excitement cannot replace peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." But most people discover this truth only after they lose control. The new man she finds is not the hero she pictured, just another human with flaws and fatigue. She traded comfort for chaos, and now longs for the calm she once called boring. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom comes after the storm, when regret teaches what pleasure refused to. The children, once her pride, begin to feel the fracture. They seek peace with their father because it feels steadier. What was once a family is now a collection of weekends and holidays apart. Epictetus taught circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him. The same is true for her. Freedom without discipline reveals emptiness. She thought leaving would make her whole instead. It made her scattered. Time, once her ally, now reminds her that some bridges never rebuild. The Stoic man sees this not with judgment, but understanding. He knows that what is built on impulse rarely endures. Peace requires patience, not passion. And sometimes, walking away from chaos is the only true act of love, even when it breaks your heart. Here's the truth most men don't want to face. You cannot save a woman whose worth depends on attention. Her hunger is not for love, but for validation, and that thirst has no end. You could give her loyalty, devotion, even your soul, and she would still feel empty. Because what she's chasing isn't you. It's the feeling of being desired again. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your role is not to fix her, but to strengthen yourself. Recognize the signs early. If she lives for admiration, your peace will always be borrowed time. Protect your mind, your assets, your children, and your soul. The Stoic man prepares for storms without hatred, without bitterness. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. When betrayal or loss strikes, use it as a forge." Pain can make you bitter or better. You choose which. The Stoic does not drown in emotion. He learns to breathe through it. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So master your emotions, your reactions, your boundaries. If she leaves, understand it was never your failure. You cannot stop time or another person's fears. You can only remain grounded in truth. Time always wins, but wisdom outlasts it. When others run from aging or loneliness, stand still. Be the calm center in a world of noise. Because the Stoic man knows peace is not found in being loved, but in living with virtue.